First of all, I'd like to welcome Diana, Andrew, Rhea, and Lakshay, who will be the speakers today for this panel. I can't see them on. Oh yeah, they're here now. Lovely, lovely.
Hello.
Good to see you guys. Hi. Wonderful, wonderful.
Likewise.
Thank you, Diana. So first thing first, so, very, very interesting topic. And, as Pallavi mentioned that, you guys are the fresh graduates out and you've done some wonderful work in your engineering time. And I could, I went through your profiles and CVs and, congratulations for, taking this charge of technology and trying to make a difference, make an impact with the help of technology. Wonderful. So why don't we, get started with a round of introduction. I can go as per the pictures that I see on my screen. So Andrew, why don't we start with you?
Sure. So first of all, thank you for hosting me, and thank you to everybody for organizing this session. I'm really passionate to talk about my experience and really excited, to meet everybody. So my name is Andrew Mang. I am a Duke 2012 Grand Challenges Scholar. I studied mechanical engineering and economics. And immediately after graduating, I worked as an analyst at a tech company in New York for about 4.5 years. I then started a water engineering and sustainability consulting company in East Africa. And since then have also been doing some independent work in the areas of sustainability and ESG.
Lovely. Great. Thank you, Andrew. And maybe we can request Rhea next to go on and introduce herself and the work that she's done.
Sure. Hi, everyone. My name is Rhea. I graduated from USC as a Grand Challenges Scholar in 2019, so pretty recently. Throughout my undergrad years, I studied biomedical engineering and healthcare studies. I was navigating college pretty pre-med for a while, so I wanted to go to medical school. But then I ultimately transitioned into the world of engineering industry as a result of a lot of the experience that I had throughout the Grand Challenges Scholars Program. One of those being a digital health startup that me and some friends created my sophomore year, so my second year of college. Ultimately, we pursued that path for about 2 years during college and then didn't end up following through. But right now, I work at a company called Edwards Life Sciences, which is in the cardiovascular space. We do medical devices, and I'm part of a rotational program there. So I work full time as a medical device engineer now.
Great. Thank you, Rhea. Thank you for that lovely introduction. I'll go next to Lakshay. Hi, Lakshay. If you can introduce yourself and the work that you're doing.
Sure. First of all, really excited. Speaker, thanks for inviting me. So hi, everyone. I'm Lakshay Sahni, the co-founder and CTO of StimVeda. With StimVeda, we are providing personalized mental health care to each and every individual using neuroscience and AI. StimVeda is very personal to me, seeing many mental health issues in my family and around me. And I want to really solve this problem for all the people out there, give them a personalized and affordable way to solve this. Before working, so I recently graduated from the Lakshay Tech Leaders Fellowship, and it has been one great experience where I in AI, neuroscience, and as well as entrepreneurship. Before this, I grad from Delhi Technological University, where I mainly was involved in ML research, and I got to intern at various research institutes around the country. Also got to present my conference research paper in Hawaii, and was funded by the Microsoft Research Grant to present my work there. In between Lakshay and my college, I also worked as an associate consultant at EY. And it has been a really diverse journey since my college, research, consulting, and now entrepreneurship. So that has been pretty exciting. Thank you.
Thank you, Lakshay. Quite a power-packed journey, in an early age. So congratulations for that. Next, I'll go down to Diana. Diana, if you could just share your journey with us, your introduction.
Yeah, hi everyone. Thank you so much for having me. Really honored to get to speak with you all today. So I was originally actually on a similar path as Rhea, where in high school I thought I really wanted to be a doctor and ended up applying to university under a biomedical engineering degree and wanted to become and wanted to also pursue that with a pre-med track. I actually ended up deciding not to go that route because chemistry wasn't necessarily my strong suit, and that doesn't necessarily bode well for the medical field. But I ended up taking my senior year of high school, my first computer science class, and that's when I first got exposed to the powers of technology and really enjoyed that passion of being able to solve problems using computer science and just all the different ways that you could apply it. But I think up until that point, I had known that my main passion was helping people. And I wasn't totally sure how I could fit that in with a computer science degree. So I went on to university at Arizona State University, and I ended up applying to the National Academy of Engineering's Grand Challenge Scholars Program as well. And had a really great time getting to learn and be exposed to all the different grand challenges. But I think one of the biggest things and impacts of the program on me was being able to be exposed to all the different ways that one can apply engineering to be able to solve real world problems. And it really did expand my scope for what engineering can really mean and can be applied to. So during my time in undergrad, I ended up pursuing research for multiple semesters. I ended up pursuing trying to create a technical nonprofit within the education space. And I also took a lot of interdisciplinary courses that really expanded my scope and understanding of how the world works and how one can be able to create effective solutions for the variety of problems that are out there, both that are engineering focused and not. As a result, I ended up graduating with my bachelor's in computer science, along with that Grand Challenge Scholar Certificate. But I also ended up pursuing a volunteering role, a leadership role within a nonprofit known as OPIA. And that's where I've actually been volunteering now for the past 2 years, leading their marketing, partnerships, and outreach, which is a little different from engineering, but I still get to bring in some of my technical expertise. And I also accepted a full-time role within Google as an associate product manager, where currently I work on their digital well-being team, trying to create tools and resources for people to better manage and balance their life with their technology. Really been excited to see all the different ways that technology can really expand our understanding and create effective solutions.
Great, lovely. Thank you so much, Diana. Now that, as you all are aware that the audience over here is actually, a bunch of high school kids, educators, principal, teachers, professors. It'll be very interesting, now that we are in the middle of this pandemic, first of all, to, go down to Rhea and followed by that to Diana, they were on this chart for, becoming a doctor, getting into medical sciences. So it'll be very interesting for kids who are watching this, who are listening to this, even the professors, who want to understand your psychology, your decision-making, your route. So how has been your journey, and, what were the kind of decisions that you guys had to take, which landed you here where you are, and, how happy you are, and, if you could change something, what could it be, in your journey till date? Rhea, can we start with that? Yeah.
For sure. I mean, that's like my entire life journey, but I'll try and condense it a little bit. But no, that's definitely a really good question, and especially very potent right now, when I'm sure a lot of students are having to think a lot more and reflect a lot more on where their careers are going with more unconventional approaches, I guess, that they're being forced to take. For me, in terms of how my journey started and how it changed and how satisfied I am with where it ended up, I guess I started pursuing pre-med in the beginning of college, but my interest in medicine started a lot earlier than that. I played sports my entire life, and a lot of my interest in medicine actually comes from sports medicine and being able to, like Diana was saying, I just wanted to be able to help people. And the most direct path I saw when I was younger was as a doctor who was able to help like young athletes return back to their sport. So that's kind of where that was coming from. And it was one of the first career paths I saw directly right in front of me. So that was where that interest sort of sparked. And I decided that was where I wanted to do things in college as soon as I started as biomedical engineering, just because I was really interested in the application of biology in medicine rather than just learning the theory of it. So that's why I wanted to do engineering. I wanted to build things with my hands and understand where it was coming from. I also sort of saw the future of technology and medicine intersecting a lot. And I thought it would be really advantageous to me as a future physician to be really fluent in that language and to really understand the technology side of the field, so that's how I decided my major and how everything was coming together. But what I realized in college was, and this was throughout my entrepreneurship experiences, throughout going to different speakers and talking to a lot of different industry professionals, I saw that there isn't only one way to help people through the field of medicine. It isn't only as a physician. There's a lot of different avenues you can affect people. And honestly, the Grand Challenge Scholars Program was one way that helped me approach that problem in a lot of different ways, because I picked my challenge, which was engineering better medicines. But the way that USC structures the program, you have to essentially pursue that path in 5 different ways, which is like through entrepreneurship, through international experience, through research, through all these things. So I was forced almost to approach how medicine would look in a lot of different avenues. So I realized as an engineer, I had the unique opportunity to not only impact patients, but to impact thousands, if not millions, all at once with the power of technology. So my sophomore year with the digital health startup, we were approaching the problem of stroke care and accelerating stroke treatment for patients. And this is a huge problem. Like so many people in the United States, around the world, experience stroke either directly or have relatives that do. It's a very, very common problem. And it's one that's very treatable if you get patients to the hospital quickly enough. And we were able to design this app, and we came up with a lot of research and talked to a lot of different people, pitched this idea to a lot of different groups. And we understood how much power an app or a company or something that was addressing this problem how much impact it could have, because you could affect all of these people that are affected by this problem on a day-to-day basis. So that was where I started to sort of shift my mindset directly from pursuing the path of medicine as a doctor to pursuing the path of a biomedical engineer and an engineer working in the space of medicine. That career path has taken me to a company like Edwards, because Edwards Life Sciences is a company that is focused in the cardiovascular space. But again, we approach the problems in heart health from a lot of different angles, whether that's direct heart valve replacement therapies, whether it's monitoring systems, whether it's early stage diagnostics platforms. We kind of run the gamut of cardiovascular treatment. And the reason that going to that company made a lot of sense to me right after graduation was I never lost my spark for entrepreneurship. That's still where I sort of see my future going. But I really wanted to be able to understand industry from like right after college. It was a great experience to learn and to really just learn as much as I could about what industry looked like and how I could be an engineer and how I could be a successful engineer and how I could be an impactful engineer in the medical space. So that's where I ended up now. And I have no regrets about it. I feel like I've learned something new every single day. And I was a little bit scared of what corporate America was going to look like and how if I was actually going to feel the kind of impact that I romanticized in my head about an engineer. And I feel that every day. So I am really, really happy with where my career path has taken me. Definitely not where I saw myself 5 years ago, but I'm really excited about what the next 5 years might hold. So.
Very, very interesting. And, the very important point you made, Rhea, that, when you're choosing a career, especially in medicine, there is a balance between, short-term impact and a long-term impact and the scale of impact that you want to build. Maybe, a doctor can, make a huge impact, but, obviously the scale is limited to the patients. And
absolutely,
biomedical engineering, is a fantastic space. And, for Diana also, with the Grand Challenge Scholar, and you mentioned about balancing the life and technology together. So how has been your experience, Diana? I'm sure some of the choices would have been similar, but what are those experiences that got you here?
Yeah, I think a lot of one big theme that I think I saw throughout my life that has kind of like helped me grow and like was kind of an obstacle that I had to overcome a little bit was being able to really expand my mindset of what I thought I could be, and especially like when I decided I wanted to be an engineer, like what being an engineer could mean and could look like. Like I touched on a little bit, like the Grand Challenge Scholars Program I think helped a lot. But when it came down to like very explicit decisions, I think like one of those things was when I was first deciding whether to do computer science. Like I said before, I'd always wanted to be I wanted to be a doctor because I thought that was like the one main way that you could be able to help people. That was like the one career where I could just go in and be directly making impact on people's lives. And I just didn't really have the mindset to really explore outside of that because I thought that was really the best way to help people in the way that I thought I wanted. But I think eventually I started thinking more critically about it. And after taking my first computer science class, I realized that I think my natural strengths lied more in computer science, and that I found I really, really enjoyed it. And so I figured if I really enjoyed it and I had the strength, then I would find a way to be able to help people in that field. I just wasn't really sure what that looked like quite yet until I went to university, where then when I was in the Grand Challenge Scholars Program, like Rhea mentioned, it really does really push you and challenge you to explore the given Grand Challenge in a lot of different facets. So one of the ways that we have to do that is research, and I just never saw myself as a researcher. I didn't really think I was a very academic person. I enjoy reading and learning, but I was I don't know if I really want to go into that a very niche area and just explore that for my entire life. But I actually found by forcing myself and challenging myself to go outside of those bounds, I was able to learn that I really am it really just does touch in on my natural curiosity and love of learning, but I could also tap into my passion for making a better education for everyone, things like that. And it was the same way for the entrepreneurship side, where I never saw myself as an entrepreneur, but forcing myself to go outside of my bounds, I was able to go to pitch competitions. I was able to create a plan for what I wanted my nonprofit to look like. And even though I didn't end up pursuing that post-grad, I still feel like that experience helped open my eyes to just the wide variety of applications that technology can have, and it helped me to also get the confidence to be able to explore outside of the traditional boundaries of what computer science looks like. And so in the end, when I ended up trying to decide which role I ended up wanting to go into after I graduated, I didn't go into a traditional software development role, which seemed a little scary to me because that's what I had envisioned once I'd actually chosen to go into the computer science field. But I ended up deciding to go into product management because I realized that truly, while my interests were in software development and I really enjoyed that realm, I wanted to be able to tap into more of that interdisciplinary aspect that I really enjoyed in my learning and everything else I'd done. So I think I would also kind of maybe encourage people who are listening to and trying to decide should I do software development or not? I think also consider there are a lot of different other realms you can go into, even if you are majoring in computer science. It doesn't always have to be that you're a software developer. If you're really interested in design, or you're really interested in business, or you want to bring all those things together, I think you can always feel free to kind of explore and ask questions about what other things could I be doing? Because I know that if I hadn't done that, then I wouldn't have been in the role where I am today. So I'd say, again, I also have no regrets, except for maybe if I could have had the opportunity, maybe if I'd taken my first computer science class earlier, then maybe I would have had more of an opportunity to explore that before I went to university. But I think it was just that mindset where I didn't think of myself as a computer scientist until I got there. But otherwise, yeah, I'm really happy with where I am.
Great. Thank you, Diana, for sharing that. And in fact, you guys start with, listening to you and Rhea, you guys started off with certain mindset, and, when you started exploring the opportunities and the possibilities of, the stereotypical streams of education and the impacts that you wanted to create, which was fairly larger than what, has been happening in the past. I think you've rediscovered the application and the use of, your education in new fields that is far more impactful. And, going into that specific comment here, I see that Andrew's been into mechanical engineering and, economics, done really, really well in undergrad, and then moved on to, agriculture and, worked as an analyst, and now into a startup, and that into new markets. So, how's been your journey, Andrew? Just putting it all together, and, you're in the heart of the, startup ecosystem. So how's that ecosystem, that environment changing the way you are? And what would you suggest to kids who are trying to build a career in startup?
Oh boy, well that's a big question. I could talk about that for a long time, but I think that I'm still on the journey, I think, is the first thing I want to say. I think I've been out of university now for about 8 years, and every year I'm doing something new in some way. Every new client relationship I build, every person I meet, I try to learn something from. And I think when you think about the startup ecosystem, especially, it's a very generalist and broad area. but having technical skills is very, very important because that's usually the root of what you're doing. If you want to go into the startup world, I would say that the biggest challenge is really the lack of structure and the ambiguity. And there's no roadmap. It's not like in university where oh, I need to take this course and this course and this course to graduate. It's you do some things, you make some decisions. Some of them are right, some of them are wrong, and you just hope that the good things that happen outweigh the bad things that happen. But what I would say is, I do think that in the startup world, I think that sometimes it's really intimidating to see some people. You hear these stories of young people who, whether through luck or skill or whatever, it's like they're these like geniuses who had these great ideas, and all of a sudden now they have their own fleet of fancy cars and everything. And I think the thing about entrepreneurship is that you just have to do it, right? And I've definitely had times where I looked at myself and I said, oh my gosh, like I don't, sometimes you read interviews with these people and they just seem so brilliant. And you think to myself, well, oh my gosh, I'm not always confident in everything I'm doing. And but then I think what I've learned over the years is that everybody has doubts. Everybody's nervous. Some people are better at hiding it than others. And that's really the only real difference between all of us. And so what I would say is honestly, just go for it. Especially with entrepreneurship and startups, you really need to be in it to learn it. It's very different to start your own company than it is to just read about other people starting their own companies. I think in terms of how it's impacted me, one of I guess the more interesting things about my career is that most of my career has actually not been working with engineers I work with engineers, but I don't work for engineers. I'm someone who people who are not engineers hire me to do things. And so something that I think has been really interesting is that, if you were to put me in a room, look, I'm not going to lie, I'm a mechanical engineer. I got great grades and everything, but there are people who have technical skills that are so much better than mine. But what I'm good at is I can take those people's technical reports and I can turn around and talk to the CEO. And being able to communicate effectively with people who don't have an engineering background or technical background is also a very important thing to be able to do. And I think that my experiences in the startup ecosystem have really shaped me in that way as well.
Great. No, this is very interesting. You mentioned that having tech skills is very, very important, and which is at the root of it. And as you can't change the fruit if you don't change the root. So technically you have to start with that. And technical skills today, I wouldn't say they are an option. I think that's something which is mandatory, and it is so interdisciplinary that medical sciences and technology, agricultural sciences and technology, artificial intelligence playing roles in the ways and in the sectors which we have never ever imagined. So I want to go down to Lakshay. Lakshay, how's been your journey at TLF, and what did it really help you? We've been talking about entrepreneurship here, and it's a big word, it's a buzzword, and it always doesn't mean money or fame. It means getting behind something that you really want to do, something that you want to make an impact with. So what does it mean for you? Gone through some wonderful education, in undergrad and now at TLF, and now starting your journey. So what does it mean for you and for the kids who want to hear you?
Right. So first of all, as Diane also said, she did not think that she was a researcher during her college life. It was totally different for me. I always thought that I'm a researcher. I wanted to pursue research. I did research in my 4 years of the college, published my papers. And entrepreneurship never, wasn't the one thing which I wanted to do during my entire undergrad. Even during I joined Lakshay, that was not the top thing on my mind, which was very different from most of the other people. Other people joined Lakshay, TLF to pursue entrepreneurship. So I think that happened with me by chance, that I somehow found the perfect person to work with, my co-founder Ramya, and we discussed how we have faced mental health issues with our own family, and I think that's combined with the interest in neuroscience plus artificial intelligence, really led us to work on such a problem. So it wasn't something which I had planned, but right now it's been 6 months since I've been into this space. It has been really exciting for me to work in this. We are developing a prototype, talking to multiple people. Our work is not just the technical part, as Andrew also mentioned, but also talking to different stakeholders. We regularly talk to all the doctors around the country, and I think that has been really interesting. That how one your choices change so much so soon. For example, from research to now entrepreneurship, which are generally very different from each other. That, but yeah. So one thing which I would specifically would want to highlight for every most of the students here is that to explore, to not confine themselves into particular rat races, which I actually did for a very long time. Even if you want to place safe bets, maybe hold them on for the when you're old. When you're young, try to explore different things, try to be active, and explore and grab opportunities that come your way. And once they do come your way, pick them up and work hard on that specific thing. And I learned this very late, but I hope that other people do not do the same mistake. So yeah.
Yeah, thank you, Lakshay. And you're talking about entrepreneurship here, and how you pick up the opportunities on the way, and you try to get on with it, try to explore that, just not get boxed into your earlier education or earlier thought process. This is a very wonderful experience that you're sharing, and as we all have experienced that the world is absolutely interconnected. The COVID-19 has shown us that, you stop one sector or one part of the world, how, things are so very well connected. So in your, it's an open question, anybody can answer, probably a last question, we've just run out of time. In this connected world, so how, what are the limits of technology that we see, today, are going to become a challenge, and how at what point will these technology innovations going to start interfering negatively to education, and how can we stop it? And in your minds, how do you have defined boundaries around you, while you are in education, while you're building your career, and not let this technology confuse you or distract you from what you really want to do? Anybody can take it.
Maybe. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
No, you go ahead.
Well, I was just going to say, this could just be because I'm a little bit older than some of the people I'm working with. I'm not that old, but I've noticed that there's like a wave of technologies that I just missed, right? And so sometimes when I'm working on some projects, there are some technologies where I just haven't had the experience with them, and I think at the end of the day, especially with the times we're in right now, we do what we can, and sometimes it means I have to learn new things, but at the end of the day, I'm trying to do something specific. I have a reason. You just have to stay focused. I think it's like anything else. I think that the real challenge with, the current environment is just there's so much uncertainty. And, as someone who's running a company, sometimes I ask myself, should I be trying to implement technology to allow me to do something, whatever it is, the same way we did before at the same level of productivity? Or is this something where I need to accept, okay, things just aren't the same right now? And I think that different people answer those questions very differently, which I think leads to friction and confusion and stress. But yeah, it's hard. I don't know if that answer is really answering your question, but that's my thought.
No, it's interesting you say that, the fundamentals of business, career, technology, universe, entrepreneurship, they do not change. You got to stay focused in whatever you want to do. And as they say, as the captain of the ship says, stay fast, stay true. If there is a storm, just hold on to your, wheel and just stay to the course, and you will, reach your destination. And just don't get bothered about what's happening. Just experience it, just explore it, and don't get scared with that. So with this note, I'd like to call off this session and hand it over back to Pallavi. Thank you, guys. Thank you so much for bringing in this wonderful insight. I'm sure students, teachers, and professors who are watching this would have found it really, really insightful. Thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you for hosting.
For having us.